Welcome to this video, which includes a presentation on text chunking. Now, text chunking is a strategy that we can use to help us understand a text. You first get an overview of the text that you're reading, so this will be the abstract, and then you may skim read the text itself. Then you want to break it down, so divide this into sections, and then write a small chunk summary per section. And then you want to try and summarize, so state what the text says in a nutshell, and then note the strengths and limitations of the text itself. We'll now go into each of those steps in a little bit more detail. So step 1, get an overview of the text. You'd like to start making your predictions. You can do this when you read the contents, the index, or the abstract of the text, plus the introduction and the conclusion. You might also look up book reviews to get an understanding of the whole text. You then move on to skim reading the text to get a sense of the shape of the text. Look out for headings and subheadings that might give you ideas of what's going to be in the text. And use this to identify the most important section for your needs. Step 2, examining the details. This is where you want to break down your text, and you want to divide the text into manageable sections. If there are headings or subheadings, you might use them to guide your choice. And this would be the overall structure of a research paper, where we're looking at the introduction, the methods, the results and the discussion, but also the introduction and the discussion and the methods, or even the results, may have subheadings. And you might use these subheadings just to break down the text even further, so you can summarize these pieces of information quite nicely. Then you want to produce the chunk summaries. You want to read the text one section at a time. At the end of each section, take a break from reading. Write a chunk summary of what you have just read in your own words. Step 3, you want to evaluate the text. This is where you summarize the text itself. Now, once you've finished going through all the sections, you want to reflect on what the text has said as a whole. Write down how you would describe it to someone in one sentence. And then you want to evaluate the text. Think about its strengths and weaknesses. Is it a credible piece of evidence? Has it answered your questions? If not, why not? Now, very briefly, I want to give you an example of a good and a poor chunk summary. Now, the text at the top here, I'll just read that quickly. The assertive discipline method teaches that the teacher has a right to decide what is best for all students and then expect compliance. The main axiom of this method is that no student should ever prevent a teacher from teaching or keep another student from learning, period. In order to achieve this axiom, teachers must behave assertively, not aggressively or passively. They must be consistently assertive in their wants and expected behaviour in the classroom. The first example below this of a summary is the teacher decides what is best for all students and expect compliance. No student should ever prevent a teacher from teaching or keep another student from learning. Teachers should be assertive but not aggressive or passive. Now, of course, you can see the cross next to that example. And the reason that this is not such a good example of chunk summary is because it's not really that much smaller than the body of text itself. You also have included a quotation, so a direct quotation from the text in there when you don't need to. If you would like to, make a note that there is a good quotation within the text. Now, exactly the same piece of text with a different summary below. So, imposed by teacher, must set out expectations. The goal, ensure no student prevents learning or teaching. And then below, consistency is key. Now, one of the reasons that this is such a good text summary is because you've got clearly defined bullet points. Each of those sentences do not span longer than a sentence. And it's really easy and will be very quick to come back and just read those 3 bullet points and get a feel for what the text above is saying. Now that is a really quick whistle-stop tour of text chunking or chunking. It may not be a strategy that you feel will work for you, but it is good to have a go at the text chunking strategy. Find a text that interests you and see if you can have a go at using this text chunking strategy.